We have some breaking news as the Boston Bruins could have an injury on their hands as they have been emergency loan Michael DiPietro. This means that potentially Jeremy Swayman could be injured, and this could change everything for the Maple Leafs going forward. So I'm going to break that down in this episode of Leafs Digest, as well as some quotes regarding Joseph Woll. He could be the Leafs savior in Game 6. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. Before we do, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. We notice about 80% of you who are watching aren't subscribed, so if you haven't hit that button already, make sure to do so. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and we're uploading 1 to 2, sometimes 3 videos a day, depending on what's happening. So thank you guys for your support. But Darius, let's just jump right into it. This happened late last night after the game, and it was a emergency loan of Michael DiPietro, who was a goalie, to the Boston Bruins. And this is still speculation at this point. I'm sure we'll get some more information on this maybe later tonight or tomorrow for a video, but this is very strange. And Jeremy Swayman didn't look like he got injured at any point in yesterday's game. Some fans are speculating that maybe when he stretched out to try to save the Matthew Knies goal in overtime, he may have pulled something. But there's a reason that they're doing this, and I'm not quite sure what, but this could mean that Linus Ullmark is going to be the starter in tomorrow night's Game 6, which would be big for the Toronto Maple Leafs, especially when they're playing in front of their home crowd on home ice.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised this isn't a bigger storyline this morning because I saw this right before going to bed after everything on Twitter and all the Matthew Knies replays and all that stuff that he'd been called up, and the former Memorial Cup champion and Windsor Spitfire gets called up, I think, from the Providence Bruins to now the Bruins lineup on emergency basis, which could mean a lot of things because it is an emergency call up. Could literally just be they want him to be with the big squad to see how things go. Maybe they need him for practice because they want to give one of the guys a day off, like Jeremy Swayman, for example. Could mean a lot of things, but the fact that I saw emergency loan leads me to believe that perhaps it could be an injury that was sustained at the end of the game yesterday. And my mind goes straight to Jeremy Swayman just because Allmark didn't play. So how could you get injured sitting on the bench? It's possible, but I just don't know if that's the case, right? So pretty interesting. I'm surprised nobody's talking about it. Maybe it is just something where they want him in for practice and they're just calling him up for the day or two or something like that. But pretty interesting news that hasn't been brought to light yet today.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be a very interesting time for them to just bring a guy up. And now it could be for practice, like you mentioned, but most fans seem to think, at least in the reply to this tweet and looking over Reddit and things like that on Twitter, or looking over and Twitter as well, is that it could be a Jeremy Swayman injury, or at least to some degree his status might be slightly in doubt. And I think Jeremy Swayman plays anyway, but if he's considered even a little bit hurt, they'll go with Ullmark, who's also a very good goaltender as well. But Jeremy Swayman has been on a heavy roll here. So let us know what your thoughts are on this. Very, very interesting. Do you have any final thoughts on it? We can. I don't want to pray for his injury, but it would be nice if we don't have to deal with the brick wall that Jeremy Swayman has been for the entirety of the series after Game 1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to watch because the Bruins, their downfall last year, letting the Panthers come back from 3-1, had something to do with their goaltenders being injured and still playing them. So I feel like they're not messing around with that this year. So it looks like this could be what that is. And even if he's a little bit injured, they're going, okay, listen, you're a little bit injured. This might be a liability for us. We'll move on to the next guy. And if we need to bring up somebody to be the backup, then this is our guy. We're calling him up on an emergency basis. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I don't think the Bruins are going to play around with even a minor injury this year because of what happened last year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and interesting to keep an eye on, and we'll definitely have you updated with it. Maybe we'll get an update by the time this video drops, so let us know on that. And we probably won't hear much until game day tomorrow at the practice, and maybe at the, obviously, of course, we'll know 30 minutes before the game. But let us know your thoughts on that. Let's move on now, Darius. This is kind of going to be the fun part. Joseph Woll. We'll discuss him for a little bit because obviously we discussed it in your stream yesterday, in the game recap yesterday video, but he's having the time of his life out there, and quite frankly, he won them the game yesterday. Also Matthew Knies as well. But you look at this, helped save the Maple Leaf season in Game 5 against the Bruins. He saved 2 goals more than was expected, stopped all 16 Bruins weak shots, which is the key thing, especially in a game like this. Stopped 8 of 9 of the scoring chances on net, including the high danger 5-on-5s. Darius, he was a beast. The advanced stats back it up. It was his first start of the playoffs after coming in the game before and gave up no goals on 5 shots. But he is going to be the X factor here for the Leafs. Obviously, Austin Matthews is going to be the guy who everyone is looking at. Coming back, of course, that's the biggest storyline here. But Joseph Woll is maybe flying under the radar a little bit as he could be the savior for the Leafs, especially if they want to make a deep run beyond this series, if they can hopefully, I think I get there.
I think it's definitely possible now. And like I've talked about in the past, or in the last couple of videos too, your goaltender, like really good goaltenders on really good teams, will steal sure goals away from the other team. And I feel like Samsonov was not doing that. He was making the routine saves, and then he would let in a couple stinkers here and there. But Joseph Woll yesterday took away a couple chances that should have been sure goals, and that's when you give your team a chance to win the game, right? So they need more of that, and I think they're going to get more of that out of Joseph Woll. And he was a big question mark because we've talked about it ad nauseum. Like he was not good after his injury. He was not great, but after last night, I think. Like I've talked about too, the energy of the team goes through the goaltender. So if you're calm and patient in net and you play with a lot of poise, which Joseph Woll absolutely does, whether he's injured or not, it's going to flow through the entire team. And I think we saw that confidence start to come out within the team yesterday because they knew that they were going to get a save from their goaltender. So going forward, I feel like Leaf fans should remove Ilya Samsonov from your vocabulary.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to see the ice again, unless there's an injury or the Leafs are, eliminated or whatever, or maybe they move on to the second round. Unless there's an injury, I do not see him taking the net back because Joseph Woll is much more poised in the net, much more calm. He's making the big saves. He's stealing sure goals away. And I know it's just one game sample size, but he did it last year too. And the Leafs just didn't have enough runway to get back in the series when he was put in that series against Florida. So he is the man right now. He will be the brick wall for the Leafs, and he's going to be the guy moving forward.
Yeah, and you look at the difference in game 1 to 4, just even Samsonov, and this is not to hate necessarily on Samsonov, but we saw what Wall did in the playoffs last year. We saw it during the regular season last year. Even at the start of the season this year, he was pretty good before his injury, and then the injury kind of derailed everything. But if he can get back to 80% of what we saw his peak be for these next few games, we'll be in very good shape. And again, you can look at the goaltenders this series, Darius. Obviously, one game sample size is not super fair to Ilya Samsonov, but these are the things that happen when the playoffs are on the go. And quite frankly, you could see the eye test wasn't really pulling in Samsonov's favor. A lot of these goals that shouldn't have been goals went in, a lot of weak goals, and even one or two weak goals can lose you a series. And goaltending is obviously the advantage of the Bruins, but if Joseph Woll can change that, then I think the Leafs have an even better chance. And yeah, one final thing before we do wrap up. Max Domi's quote yesterday after the Game 5 win. He said, "Have you planted a seed of doubt in the Bruins locker room after that win?" He said, "Don't care. We're getting ready for the next game. Nothing else matters." And that is about as good of an answer as you could have expected because quite frankly, it doesn't matter if there's a seed of doubt. You won't be able to tell. Obviously, like naturally, it's probably there for the Bruins, but they just need to win. They need to focus on winning in 24 hours from now, do all the preparation they can because they want to send it to an electric Game 7. They need to win on home ice, which is something they've struggled to do all year, or all playoffs at least as well.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but I love the quote from Max Domi. And Max Domi is a guy who knows how to play in the playoffs and has gone far with other teams. He went to the conference final last year with Dallas too, right? So I love that quote from Max Domi. And he's right. Like you can't spend too much time thinking about, oh, we planted seeds and all this stuff. It might be true. Just plant seeds with your play. Don't go around saying it and stuff like that, right? So I think they're going to continue to do with their play. If they continue to play as hard as they played last night, the seeds will be planted automatically for the Bruins because this is something that they struggled with. I think they've lost 5 straight games where they could close out a series. They have not. They have struggled in that area, right? They have in recent memory. So it's going to start to creep up the doubt for the Bruins on their own. It's going to happen mentally for them if you just continue to put in the work and play well and play like you did last night. So I think I love it from Max Domi. It's true. Just put your head down, get to work, and everything will work out for you if you put in the work.
Yeah, now the Leafs need to put in the work, and if they win Game 6 tomorrow, then the favor kind of switches directly to the Maple Leafs if it hasn't already. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know what your thoughts are on all this, and hopefully we're gearing you up well for the game tomorrow, which will hopefully be another good game. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you then.